Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our problem solving session for the English language. And hi, Ashish, Charan, Bhavani, and Muthu. Okay, so it's almost the end of the year. I think this would be the last session for this year, 2017, right? And I'm sure most of them are either preparing for exams or they're very happy celebrating that they got through the preliminary exams of both two very big exams, right? I mean, IBPS PO mains and IBPS clerk. So if you're one of them, then let me know. We can celebrate together this morning. If you've also been able to clear the preliminary exams of, I don't know how many of you appeared for these exams. So if that is you, do let us know. Some more people joined. Girish, Sham, Sneha, Paras. Hi, good morning. So, and Anantu. So great to see you guys. Anybody new who joined recently with Talent Sprint? This is your first live session, maybe for the English language. Also let me know. Hi, Jaya Krishna. Good morning. So nice to see some new names. Jay Krishna, would this be your first session? I don't know if you attended a session earlier. Okay, it's the same Girish, right? I'm a little confused. So Girish said, good morning, ma'am. And then again, I have Girish. So I just went back to check if it was a different Girish. Okay, you're new, Girish. All right. Okay. And Arifa Shaikh, welcome. Arifa Shaikh also sounds new. Are you new? Bhavani is new. Okay, welcome. So you guys can welcome each other. Hi, Ajit. So a couple of things before we get started, since you're new. I don't know if you've attended any live sessions earlier. Usually what happens is because of the bandwidth or the network issue at your end, you might find trouble either viewing the video or audio might be an issue. So I would kindly request you to change your resolution, or if somebody can be kind enough to post the YouTube link, then you can use that link. You will not have any problem with respect to the quality of the video or the session. Yeah, so that's the first thing. The second thing is, I don't know how long you've been with us, as in how long has it been since you joined us. So I don't know if you've had time to go through the portal, understand what the structure is and what is available for you in terms of resources with respect to the video and the materials, reference materials and other tests and mock tests that are available. So if you haven't done that, then there's no point in me saying anything forward. You need to do that for me to explain things further. But this session basically is a problem-solving session where most of you post questions in the discussion forum. We have something called a discussion forum for those of you who are new, where you can post questions and obviously the ones that you have doubts on. Right, you want to clarify something, you're going through a video, you get stuck, you don't understand a concept, or you have a doubt, you don't think, you want to understand how this option is the answer and why not another option, things like that, right? So those sort of questions are taken up and discussed in this session. Now, we've started an initiative where we send out almost every other alternate day mails to you, right, where we take up questions from the discussion forum. And, Gayatri or I respond to those questions and it's sent to you in your mail. So most of those questions get answered through this process, and we've left with hardly any questions for our problem solving session, right? Because all these questions are invariably answered every other day. So what I thought is, for today's session, since we literally don't have any questions in the forum, haven't checked this morning though. So I thought we'll look at one of our most challenging, most requested question type, not exactly spot the error, but a variation to it, which is sentence improvement, right? Sneha, it's your second session, okay. Anand, this is your first session, all right. Hi Revati, long time. Nice to see you. Your name. Okay, so today's session we're going to focus on a variation to spot the error, which is sentence improvement, and I'm sure all of you are aware of the pattern, right? There is a word or a phrase in the sentence which is either in bold or underlined, and there are options given. We'll have to choose which one of the options can replace the highlighted phrase from the question. Now, the advantage of practicing these sort of questions is also it'll help us identify errors, right? We'll be quick to identify errors pertaining to spot the error questions in our exam. So it's good practice for us, and it'll also act as a refresher for us to check our knowledge on, okay, am I aware of this is also a possible type of error. This is also an error type that I should be familiar with, so I don't waste time. And when I look at a question, I know how to approach it. I know what to look for. So we will focus on, a few questions on sentence improvement for today's session. But otherwise, hey Shiva, great. Great that you could make it today. Hi Vidya and Divya. Okay, so more people joining is great. So I'm just giving like a download because we have quite a few new people. So the rest of you, if you've heard this spiel before, when I say spiel, I'm saying this speech before, just bear with me. Yeah? When are you coming to Kerala? I don't know. I might visit soon because my in-laws are coming. So maybe next 2 weeks. I don't know. Hi Manisha, welcome. And Shravani, welcome. Bomeda. All right. So can we get started? Yeah, anything that you have a doubt, anything that you, so for those of you new, again, the session goes this way. I project the questions and then we work together and see what is the option, and then we brainstorm why that is the option. And if there is a rule or a concept that we need to register, we do that quickly, right? That's how the session goes. So let's get started. Let me share the PPT. And it's so good to see a lot of new people this morning. Yeah? Let me share the PPT. Okay, sorry, I'd like to quickly address Anand. Don't worry, Anand, that you're not clear. A lot of them, it's a competitive exam, right? So, yeah, some win, some lose, but it's still all right because we have the opportunity to enroll for these exams as much as we can, right? Because there's always another exam popping up. In fact, this entire season was packed with exams, back-to-back exams, right? So what do? You prepare even more for the next one. That's what you do, right? You can't waste time thinking about, oh, I didn't get through and, sulk and all that. Move on and let's focus on the next exam, right? So you will have a plenty of opportunities. You just have to make the most of it. That's it. Okay, so let me project the first question. So as I said, there are a couple of things we'll quickly do a refresher on in terms of our understanding concepts and knowing that this is the basic rule, and this is we will look at something called collocations. Collocations might be new for some people. If collocations is a new term for you, then I'd advise you to go through vocabulary, which is your first segment in the English language, and there is a video elaborated on collocations with example sentences with questions that you will face in the exam. So I'd like you to go through that. But we will look at some collocations as well through these questions. Yeah, so the first one is, if you look at the question, it says she insisted to go there though her husband cautioned her on it, and the underlined phrase is to go, and our options are ongoing, upon going, going, and no improvement. So according to you, do you think that the given option is correct as it is, and would you choose option 4, or do you feel that we need to change that to go to one of the other three options that we have. What are your thoughts? What do you feel? Post your answer options in the chat. Charan says, I will go with option 1. Okay, anybody else? Divya also says, I will go with option 1. Any particular reason? Maybe you want to explain why you chose a particular option. Manish also agrees with, yeah. So Anand, I'll tell you what collocations are. So as people keep posting options, Sharif disagrees with all of you and he says option 3 is what I'll go with, and Rohit also comes back and says I'm fine with the sentence as it is, and a lot of you are coming back and saying 3, 4, 3, 4. So except for a couple of you who said option 1, most of you came back and said it's either option 2 or option 3. But we look at it. Before that, I just want to address Anand's question. So Anand says, what are collocations? So for the benefit of Anand and for those of you who probably don't know but didn't ask the question, collocations are associated words that go together. It's a combination of 2 or 3 words, right? And why are they called collocations? Because people generally use them repeatedly in different situations, right? It's like saying natural disaster, widely accepted, strong tea, right? I'm just giving you examples of collocations because people use this word goes with this word, right? So one of our very basic rules when it comes to spot the error is we say all the adjectives ending with IOR will be combined with to. For example, prior to, superior to, inferior to, junior to, senior to, right? So you have different types of collocations. What the combination that I gave is adjective plus preposition collocation. So there are different types of collocations. So Anand, you will have to go through that vocabulary video where I've taken a video on collocations. So it's very helpful for not just spot the error or sentence improvement questions. It's also very helpful for close passage or any other question type for that matter, right? Okay, let's get back to the question. So basically I have all the options, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, let's go back to the question. Now one of the collocations, Anand and the rest of you, is we always, let me change the color one second, I'll go with blue, yeah. We always insist, that's our clue word from the answer, okay. We always insist on doing something. So that's the collocation, right? This is a verb plus preposition collocation. Yeah, you could say phrasal verbs are also collocations, yeah. You will not say it's a type of phrasal verb. You say phrasal verb is also a collocation. Okay. So you insist on doing something. So in the given context, she insisted on this person going there, right? Though her husband cautioned her on it. So her husband is saying, her husband probably was warning her, I don't think you should go there. I don't think it's a good idea. But whoever this person is, she must be a friend, she insisted on going there. So because this is the collocation, you always insist on doing something. And if you look at this, it's insist on plus ing form. Yeah. So having said that, the answer is option 1. So this is something that you need to remember. So one of the usual collocations, just like superior to, inferior to, right, prefer to, it's insist on. Okay, that's another collocation. Now let's move on. So as a rule, you need to just remember as many collocations as possible because it will help us in identifying the right answer option without wasting time, right? Now we're going to look at something extremely, so these are very basic questions, but it's helpful for us to, that's what I said, it's helpful for us to register certain basic concepts with respect to spot the error, yeah? You will come to my party tomorrow, will you? The underlined phrase is will you. As soon as you look at this question, you know it's obviously the concept is question tag and we have some options. Now which one would be appropriate? I'm assuming most of you would be familiar with question tags. You know the form, you know the construction. Because that's the collocation, Anand. You insist on doing something. Yeah, so Charan says option 3. What about the rest of you? Arifa agrees with Charan. Smukherjee, yes. Vidya, yes. Sham. So everybody is on the same page. I don't see any different options other than option 3, which means you guys are very, very clear with your concept with respect to question tags. So all of you have given me the same options. Okay. Paris, okay, a quick request for some of you. While we are discussing the questions, I understand the need for you to ask questions which may not be related to the question that we are discussing in hand, but what can happen is I may overlook that question and I may not answer that question immediately. So I would advise you to either wait till we finish the entire discussion, the session, and then you ask questions, or you can feel free to post it in the forum. But because I saw your question, I have taken a video called Quick Tips for the English Language, which is available on YouTube, and I've shared some 10 or 11 very prominent newspapers that you should go through, especially for bank exams. So I want you to Google that on YouTube, Quick Tips for the English Language, and go through those sources that I've mentioned. Yeah, Paris, just to answer your question. But I would advise you guys to stick to the discussion at hand. If you have any questions, save it. I'll address it towards the end of the session. Yeah. Okay. So this one is pretty easy. Yeah, because we all know that question tags, a positive statement will have a negative question tag. Obviously, now this is a positive statement, and the negative question tag, we never say will not you. Will not is contracted to won't. Obviously, it is won't you. So this is a very basic rule. All of you seem to be very clear with your question tag concept, and usually the same subject is what is repeated in the tag as well, right? Okay, so let's not spend a lot of time on this question. Let's move on. There was a roll of drums. The only underlined phrase is roll, and the other options that we have is roll as in a part, and then roll and troll, and then no improvement. Now, sometimes for questions like this, what can happen is you may not know the meaning of other words, right? The given words. I'm assuming roll you know, option 1, but what about option 2 and option 3? Do you know what the meaning of drawl or troll is? Anybody? Couple, oh, is that, maybe you want to fast forward a little bit? I'm not too sure. Support, can you help couple? Okay, Sharif says option 2 for this question, but I hope you guys understand the meaning of these options, drawl and troll. What's drawl, anybody? Do you have any idea? Have you heard this word before? See, in English, one word can have different forms, right? Like there's a verb form, there's a noun form. It's called word class. Word class means one word having different forms. There's an adjective form for the word, there's an adverb form for the word. So this word, option 2, drawl, right? If you look at it as a noun form, it's like I would say a buffoon. But if you look at it as an adjective form, it means funny, humorous, okay? In case you didn't know the meaning. What about troll? Let me go back to the options. What about option 3? Do you know what the meaning of troll is? Yeah, so Anand, for the benefit of those who don't know the meaning only, I'm giving out the meaning. So what's the meaning of option 3? T-R-O-L-L. Usually you will come across, troll in fantasy movies. It's basically a very funny looking creature. It's a creature, right? Either it's portrayed as a giant or it's portrayed as a dwarf. It'll come in tales, folklores, you know, things like that. That's a trawl. Now this is a noun form. So given the, can you identify, there's a clue word in the given sentence. Let me go back to the question. Can you identify the clue word in the sentence? There was a roll of drums. Excuse me. So roll we know, a part, right? Drawl we know, we just said, we saw two meanings. The noun form was like a jester or a buffoon. Okay, the adjective form was something to do with being funny, humorous, right? And then troll, I said again, is a noun. It's a, I would say it's a folklore creature, either projected as a giant or a dwarf, extremes. Okay? Yeah. So now that we know the meanings, yes, Jai Krishna, good, right? The clue word is drums itself, right? Usually, again, this is to do with collocations. This Anand, this is for you, right? Have you heard drum roll? Drum roll. When do they do a drum roll? A drum roll is usually done before you want to make an announcement. So, hey, listen up. In the villages, or if they want to make an announcement, they usually, you know, try to get everybody's attention first. Hey, listen up. This is news. This is what's happening tomorrow, or this is what's happening today in the evening. All of you come and be there. We want all of you to be there, available, blah, 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 right? So a drum roll is the collocation. So the given context, there was a roll of drums, is absolutely fine as it is. Because, let me go back to the question. Like I said, drum roll is a collocation in itself. So ROLL associated with drums is fine as it is. You don't have to make any changes because none of the given options logically fit the context. Now that we know the meaning. Yeah? Girish, truling is a completely different word. The word that we have is TROLL, not TROOL. Okay? Yeah. So, ideally the answer is no improvement. So, I am guessing most of you did not arrive at the answer because you were not familiar with the meaning of the given options, and you were not also probably familiar with the collocation, drum roll. Yeah, that's about it. So, let's move on. Bacteria is the most common form of life, okay. And the underlined phrases bacteria is, the options are bacteria are, bacterium are, bacteria was. Yeah? What do you think? Do you think it's correct as it is? Should you change anything? Do you see any difference in the options? What do you guys think? Let me have some answers. Okay, most of you came back and said, except for Rupesh and Shubham, everybody said option 4. Okay, and Shubham and Rupesh say it's option 1. Kapil also says option 1. Jai Krishna also says option 1. Now I'm sure this is another thing that you guys were not familiar with. Now, just to let you know, bacteria, this is due with noun numbers. Okay, bacteria is always plural. Okay, what is the singular form of bacteria? It's right here. Bacterium, on the other hand, is the singular form. Okay, so this is to do with noun numbers. Maybe you didn't know this. So obviously because bacteria is plural, I need are and not is. Okay, and I can't use bacterium because bacterium is singular. So if I have to use bacterium, I will say bacterium is, right? Then it will be option 2, Charan. So the answer is option 1, right? So though most of us, see, the problem with English is we go with what we hear people say, right? We've heard people say bacteria is. So we think that is correct. So that's the problem most of us face, because what is commonly used is acceptable and becomes, and we think it is correct because we don't know either we don't know the basic rule or the fact, right? The fact is bacteria is plural, bacterium is singular. So obviously now that you know this, it's not Greek or Latin, right? It's a very simple concept. It's to do with noun numbers, right? So this is a noun number concept. Now that you know this, you will never make a mistake with respect to bacteria and bacterium. Yeah, don't worry about it, Anand. So the answer is option 1. So those of you who said option 1, correct. So it's nice when we are learning, right? When we are also correcting what we thought was right. That's what spot the error questions do, which is really helpful. I think all of you should just take up at least 20 to 25 spot the error questions on a daily basis, and you will definitely master the language, I'm sure. Okay, let's move to the next question. Sorry, Shubham, what is this? Yeah, another request. Shubham, I understand, like I said, most of us have a tendency to post questions in the chat. Unfortunately, we don't want to entertain that because we want to encourage all of you posting questions in the forum. We want to keep it as interactive as possible. We want to make sure that, you know, a lot of people participate and learn from each other, right? And there was a time slot given for you to post questions in the forum. If you had posted this question in the forum, it would be here. We would be discussing it. But otherwise also I will explain that question. But I'm just saying as a process, it will be helpful if all of you can adhere to the process that we have in place, right? So in between, if you keep posting questions, it takes away from what we have allotted for the session. I don't want that to happen. I mean, that's not something that we follow, and we don't want to encourage that as well. But I'll make an exception and I will answer your question, but you'll have to wait till we finish the entire thing. I'll come back and address your question, right? Buy in and buy it. You give me example sentences. You know this answer. Okay, so think of example sentences for buy in and buy it. I'll come back to that question, but let's focus on the question at hand. So that's what I'm saying, no, Surya. Just because everyone is saying it doesn't mean it's right, no? Huh? Everyone was moved with tears at his sad story. So this is another good example of collocations. The first question that we saw, she insisted on doing something. You always insist on doing something. So can you look at the options, look at the question, identify a clue word from the question, and look at the options and tell me which can be the right option in terms of associated words. This word has to go with this word because of the clue word in the context. So can you tell me what that is? Somebody first tell me what is the clue word from the context? I have option 1, I have option 3. Sharif, very good. Tears, that is my clue word. So, what is the collocation? What would you normally say when you are associating move and tears? Which preposition will come? You might have heard people say this. Just try and recollect what sounds correct. Because collocations are all about that, right? You've heard people say this repeatedly in different situations. So, what can be the right preposition between moved, and tears. And if you look at the options, everything has to do with preposition, right? You have with, you have by, you have to, and you have in. All of these are prepositions. Which preposition will come here? Is it moved in? Is it moved by? Is it moved with? Or is it moved to? Which is the collocation? Okay, so let's address all of these options first, okay? Now, I know that with as a preposition brings in the meaning of togetherness, right? If I say, I moved with this person, right? I moved with this person to a new house, which means my friend and I moved together, right? That's not the meaning the context is saying. Moved by, you can be moved by something, right? You see something, you feel very emotional. It's a very sensitive thing, so you moved by that. Maybe you see a young child begging on the road, right? You empathize with that child. You are moved by that situation, by that child, looking at that child's condition or plight that he or she has to beg, right, at this tender age. You're moved by something. Moved in again, I moved in to my new apartment, which means what? I shifted, right? So these are all not the meanings that the context is saying. Now, having said that our clue word is tears, you're always moved to tears. You're not moved by tears. See, you look at something and then you're moved to tears, right? It's not like the tears are making you move. You're not moved by the tears. Are you following? There's a difference. You can never be moved by tears. You see something and then you move to tears because of that. Are you following, guys? Yeah? So, go back to the context. Everyone was moved to tears. That's your collocation with tears. But all of the other things are also collocations, but they are applied in different contexts. Move in, shift, or move in with a friend to an apartment, right? My friend and I decided to stay together, live together. Moved by, you see something, a situation moves you, right? You are moved by something that you see or someone. Right? But when it comes to tears, the preposition that goes with is to. Okay, now you know this. So that's why I said collocations are really, really helpful to get the right answer. Eliminate all the wrong answer options. Yeah? Let's move on. He behaves as if he is the supreme leader. As if he is the underlined phrase. As he is, as if he were, as if he was. So, what do you think is the answer? Now, another thing that I want to quickly point out to all of you is, when it comes to the English language, a lot of us, hi Pavani, a lot of us go with what is conversational. Remember, conversational English is not the same as grammatical, written, formal English, right? There are a lot of, things that we think is okay to say, is acceptable. And over the years, it may become acceptable, but just keep that in mind. Going back, I have some answers. I have option 2, option 4. It's between 2 and 4, 2 and 4, 2, 2, 2, 4, 4, 4, 4. Okay. Let's see. Now, whenever you, how to improve collocations, you just need to read extensively, Anand. Yeah, that's the only way you can register, because your mind is registering what you are seeing or reading or what you're hearing, right? Now, in the context, is this person a supreme leader? No, he is not, right? So when you say he is so and so, which means you're either talking about a fact or a general truth. That's when you use a simple present tense. Na? You always use a simple present tense to talk about a fact or a truth. But in the context, he's not a supreme leader. He's behaving like he was one, which means, what are we saying? We're talking about a hypothetical situation, right? An imagined situation. He is thinking that he is a leader and he's behaving like that. But the actuality or the truth is he is not. So having said that, whenever you have a hypothetical situation, we always use if he were, as if he were, right? This is also a construction that you will find in if conditionals, right? Where we are talking about hypothetical situations or imagined situations. That's not the truth. That's not what is actually the fact. But it's like, if I were a millionaire, I would travel the world. Am I a millionaire? No. But I'm imagining that situation. It's a hypothetical situation. Imagine I am a millionaire. What would I do? Right? It's the same thing here. So in the context, he is not a supreme leader, but he is behaving as if he were one. So anything that is talking about, right? So the answer is option 2. We will not go with anything that is referring to a direct simple present tense, which is the given option where most of you said no improvement, incorrect, and some of you came back and said option 1, that is also incorrect. I don't know if anybody said option 3. Okay, Jaya Krishna says option 3. There again, we're not looking that because we're not talking about a past situation. We're talking about this person who is not a supreme leader but is behaving like one. So the right construction would be he behaves as if he were one. Yeah? So the answer is option 2. Clear? So this is to do with a general understanding of if conditionals, looking at the context and trying to understand that, hey, this is not the truth, this is not a fact, he is not a supreme leader, but he's behaving like one. So we're talking about a hypothetical situation. So I can't use a simple present tense which always talks about general truth, facts, or I can't use a past tense, was, right? This is right now, he's behaving like that, right? But that is not the point in case. So I need a hypothetical phrase which is if he were. Clear? Sorry, what was Sagar's question? Let me go back. Which English is useful in society or in professional grammar based or colloquial based? Huh? Which English is useful in society? Professional grammar based or colloquial based? Okay, that's the question. Society or in profession? Grammar based or colloquial based? Okay. So no punctuations, I'm getting a little confused. Which English is useful in society or in profession? Comma, grammar based or colloquial based? Okay. Now I understood the question. Which English is useful in society or in profession? See, another thing, Sagar, English is constantly evolving, right? So earlier, we used to always say, I shall do this. Like for the first person, I, we always used to use only shall. That was the correct form. But now, we use the will, which is used with the second and the third person. We use it for the first person as well. I don't hear anybody anymore saying, I shall come to your house tomorrow. We always say, I will come to your house tomorrow, right? So what I'm trying to say is, English will continue to evolve. English will continue to change. Certain things that are acceptable we will come to know. That is, if we continuously keep in touch with the language and what are the changes, right? If you're genuinely interested in applying the right language when you speak and when you write, you will make an effort to know, okay, is this construction okay to use? Is this construction not okay to use, right? It involves a lot of research, and that's why we have linguistics and language experts and all of them doing that job. But at the end of the day, whether it is, profession or society, what is acceptable is grammar based is good, right? It only shows that you have a command over the language and you know what you're saying, right? But colloquial based is also the norm in terms of conversational English. Like I said, I just gave you an example. I shall versus I will. So we really can't put a finger and say this is what will work in society and this is what will work in profession. In society, colloquial based is what works, right? We know that. That's the current thing. Anybody says something, it's acceptable because at the end of the day, you're understanding what they're saying, right? You're not going to stop them and say, hey, sorry, you're supposed to say I with shall and not I with will. You don't say that, right? Because it sounds really stupid for you to do that. So, yes, in society or in profession, conversationally, a lot of things are acceptable. But when you get down to business, right, when you're preparing for an exam and a competitive exam where they ask you to identify what is the wrong answer or spot the error, it's good knowledge to know what is the right construction, right? Yeah, so that's what it is. Okay, so I see a hypothetical couple. Hypothetical means you're imagining it to be. That's not the case. I don't know if somebody explained it. Somebody has explained it. I guess Anjali has made an effort. Yeah? Okay, so let's move on. Let's move on to the next question. So, Sagar, hopefully I answered your question. Kapil, what are you mean by? What do you mean by? Hypothetical. Huh? Chalo. She stopped and said that she had forgotten taking the key from the keyhole. So the underlined phrases had forgotten taking the key from, and I have some options. Forgot taking the key from, forgot to take the key from, had forgotten to take the key from. Okay, so now this question is purely a tense based question, but there's also another component to it. It's to do with infinitive and gerund. So I have given you some grammatical terms. Now go back to the question and see which is the right option. Okay, Surya says 3, Shubham says 2, Ananta says 2, Charan says 3. Okay, so a lot of you, it's either 3, 3, 3, 3. Most of you are saying 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3. Some of you are saying 2, 2, 2, 2, 3, 2 or 3, 2 or 3. Okay, so let's see. Okay, now let's address the two concepts that I said. The first one I said is a tense based. Why did I say tense based? Let's go back to the question. Now, there are two actions happening in that context. Can somebody identify those two actions quickly? There are two actions happening. What are the two actions? And then I want you to tell me, obviously when there are two actions happening, there will be one action which is the first action and another action which is the second action. So, can somebody tell me what are the two actions happening in the context? And if possible, also tell me what is action 1 and action 2. Kapil says taking. Very good, Sagar. So, I have stopped and I have forgotten. Let's include taking also. No problem. These are the two actions. Super. Now, tell me which is action 1 and which is action 2 as per the sequence. Action 1 and action 2. Which is action 1, which is action 2? Are you sure, Pavani? No, Divya, think. Which is action 1 and which is action 2? Think logically and tell me. Charan, what is take? Are you sure, couple? Okay, guys. Charan is correct, okay. See, I forgot to do something. That's my first action. Action 1 is I forgot to do something. Action 2 is then I stop and I think, hey, I forgot to do that. Hai na? So, forgetting that thing is the first action. Let's go back. So, this is action 1 and this is action 2. So, whenever I have two actions happening in the context, right, and especially when it's referring to a past, we're talking about a past perfect tense. This is an example of a past perfect tense, right? Action 1 is always in the past perfect. Did you look at the construction? Had plus verb 3. Hai na? Forgot is our word, right, or forget is the word. This is verb 1. Verb 2 is forgot. And verb 3 is forgotten, right? So, for past perfect tense, we have had plus verb 3. Correct? Had, forgotten. Hai na? So, action 1 is past perfect and always action 2 is simple past. Stopped. Simple past tense. Right? So, which means this is a... No, Sagar, I want you to apply a little bit of logic. See, the initial, in terms of sequence, let's say for example, I'm going out with my family, right? I take the car and I'm driving, and then suddenly I stop the car and I'm thinking, oh no, I forgot to turn the gas stove, right? So which is the first action that I actually did in terms of sequence? I'm already driving on the road, right? I stopped and I'm thinking about the action that I forgot, which is what? I forgot to turn the gas stove. That is my first action. The second action is I am stopping and recollecting about the first action. Hai na? So, just because in the sequence of the sentence stopped comes first doesn't mean that is the first action. Logically, think. Yeah? Just apply a little bit of sequence logic in terms of, okay, time sequence, what happened first, then what happened next. Think about it, you'll get the answer. Okay. So, which means I definitely need this construction had forgotten. Which is the option that is giving me that construction? Is it option 1, option 2, option 3? Option 3. Right? Not only that. Not only that. Now comes the second part. First part we addressed, tense related. Now comes the second part. Go back to the question. The question has taking. Taking is what? Take plus ing, gerund form. What do we have here but? We have 2 plus take, which is what? 2 plus verb 1. What is this? Infinitive. Now, in the context, alright Revati, I'm sorry that you are having trouble at your end, but yes, happy 2018. I will see you in 2018. Okay, so coming back to the question, okay, part 2. In the question, what is the purpose? She had to take the key from the keyhole. Hai na? So whenever the intention or the purpose is what is the highlight, I will always use infinitive form, 2 plus verb form. Okay. Manish, if you can post the YouTube link for Revati, but I think Revati has plans. I don't know, I'm just kidding. Anyway, coming back to the question. So, thank you Manish. So, coming back to the question, right? Again, if I look at the second part of the thing also, it has to be option 3 because option 3 is the one that gives 2 take. Yes, I have option 2 also giving 2 take, but unfortunately the tense part is not covered. Are you clear guys? So, the answer is option 3. Yeah. So, in a simple question like this, we have looked at 2 concepts. pertaining to spot the error. One is tense, past perfect tense construction. Two actions happening. I always need, the first action will always be in the past perfect tense, the second action will always be in the simple past tense. The second concept that we looked at is infinitive versus gerund. When do I use the infinitive, when do I use the gerund? Now if you're confused with all these basic concepts, I've covered this in spot the error rules. So please go and watch those videos, you will be clear. Yeah? Okay, super. So everybody else who said other options, this is why the other options are wrong and option 3 is the correct one. Let's move on. Beside cricket, Rahul plays tennis as well. Yeah. If you ask me, Sagar, I also mentioned this in our first session. You don't have YouTube link, huh? Manish? Somebody post the YouTube link for him, no? Muttu, can you please post the YouTube link for Manish? Yeah? Okay, I already have answers for this question. Everybody is saying option 2. Thank you, Puneet. Okay, sorry, I'm just going to quickly address Anand's question. I'm just going to go back for a bit. Please bear with me. Anand says, why use to take and not taking? Like I said, Anand, in the context, right? The intention or the purpose that she forgot to do, what she forgot to do was she was supposed to take the key from the keyhole, right? That was the intention or that was the purpose. So when the context is referring to something to do with intention or purpose, you will use the infinitive form, which is 2 plus verb 1, base form, right? When will you use a gerund form? We all know that gerunds function like a noun, right? Reading is my favorite hobby, right? In that context, read is the verb, read plus ing, reading, it acts like a noun, right? What is my favorite hobby? Reading is my favorite hobby. In the context, we are not talking about, what key from the whole or taking the key from the keyhole. Taking functioning as a noun is unnecessary in the context. That's why we don't need the ing form and we need the infinitive form, right? Just to respond to Anand's question. But however, Anand, I would request you to go through the basic videos for you to get a clear understanding between gerund and infinitive, which is available in Basic Grammar for Reference. Go down, you'll have these videos here. You'll have a separate video on infinitive, you'll have a separate video on gerund. Go through those videos, right? You'll have an understanding when to use what. Okay, so this one, I think most of you got it right. I don't see any other option other than option 2. Everybody has given me option 2 only, which is correct, right? This is a very simple concept. Sometimes people do make mistakes even though they are very familiar with the concept, right? We all know that beside means next to, and besides with an S means other than, and in the context obviously we need other than. So besides cricket, Rahul plays tennis as well is the right construction. So we're clear with this. Everybody got this right. Let's move on. Yeah, sorry, I was actually addressing Sagar's question. So SSC CGL questions, I think are a great way to help you master your basics, and it gives you a variety of questions that you can practice for the English language especially. See, Sagar, look at it this way. Some of the, that's why certain exams are specific to certain, there's a reason why the difficulty level is different, right? IBPS clerk has a different question, quality of questions. I wouldn't say quality, level of questions, right? In terms of difficulty level. IBPS PO mains has a different level of questions. SSC CGL has a different level of questions because that's the target audience that they are attracting, right? That's the level of candidates that they're looking at for those banks. Each bank specializes in a certain way and they require certain skill sets. So you'll have to really understand and not crib about why the questions are different in different exams. Yes, the hope is we get, questions that are relatively appears easy. I mean, what appears easy for you may not be easy for somebody else. That's another thing. But you understand this, right? Each bank has a different skill set that is required. So accordingly, they will have different level of questions because the audience that they're looking at is different. Because that's the role and responsibility that is required for that position. Okay, let's go back to the questions. Two of the biggest corporate firms in the world are Apple and IBM, which both are in the computer business. So obviously what is highlighted is which both are, and you'll have to figure out. No, okay. Couple, what you can do is, okay, those of you who are having trouble, just right click on the video, on the live video, you'll have an option to get the YouTube link. Just get that YouTube link and watch it, right? I'm not saying this video is available on YouTube. I'm saying you have an option to watch this session on YouTube because there's a link available. Just right click on your video and take the link if you're having trouble viewing the live stream. Okay, chalo. And this also, a lot of you came back and said option 2. Yeah? So in terms of construction, yes, right? A lot of you can come back and say, why not option 3? Like, I think somebody said option 3. Bhavani and all. So the construction is this, okay? See, we all know which here, right, is the, obviously is the relative pronoun. What are relative pronouns? They substitute something in the context, right? What are they substituting? This which is referring to Apple and IBM, the two firms, the two biggest corporate firms. Yes, Shubham, both of which is also a colloquial phrase, no doubt about it. But just to break it down and help others understand the concept, right? And remember, this is a statement. So it is always right to use this particular colloquial phrase when it is a statement and it is not a question. Yeah? Especially of which. And we all know which is used for things, whom is used for people, and things like that. So just to give you another example, I can say, I have 2 cars, okay, both of which need major repairs. Okay. I have another example. I have 2 goals, both of which are achievable with hard work. Yeah? So yes, the construction is both of which are, the 2 of the biggest corporate firms in the world are Apple and IBM, both of which are in the computer business. I have two candidates for this job, both of whom, yes, because you're talking about a person. Correct. Absolutely. Absolutely. Right? For persons, you use whom. So, I think this is clear. Let's move on to the next question. I've been to a few of his talks but understood little of what he has said. I have been to a few of his talks but little of what he has said. So, the underlined phrase is little of what he has said. What are the options? Little of what he said, a little of what he has said, little of what he has talked, no improvement. So what do you think is the answer? Do you think the underlined phrase as is correct or not? So it's either between 2 and 1. So we all know the difference between little and a little, right? What's the difference? Anybody? You should know this. I'm still getting options. A little is basic thing, but no need of has. Guys, a little is positive in meaning, some. Little is negative in meaning, which means hardly. Right? So I've been to a few of his talks but understood little of what he said means I hardly understood what he said. Okay? So in terms of little and a little, it's just to do with meaning. You know, is the context referring to a positive or a negative meaning? So that doesn't really amount to, you know, grammar or grammatical mistake as such. It really depends on what you're trying to convey in the context. But in the given context, we're talking, I have been to a few of his talks but understood little of what he said. We're still talking about the action of you having gone to his talks is the past, right? You're referring to something that has happened in the past. I have been meaning I've started going to this person's talks, you know, sometime back, and maybe you still continue to do so. But the act that you're talking about is in terms of what you understood or what you didn't understand, understood being your clue word, you need a simple past tense and you don't need again a present perfect tense. Okay? So that's why option 1 would be correct. Little of what he said and not option 2. Yeah, are you following? So just look at the context. I have been to a few of his talks, which means I may continue to go so because they've used the present perfect tense, which is absolutely fine. But understood, which means the action of you having listened to his talks and commenting on it is still in the past tense because that's an act that is done and over. So I need the simple past tense, which is available only in option 1. He said. Okay? You don't need the present perfect tense again, which both option 2 and 3 gives. Has talked, has said, not needed. You don't have to be confused, Pavani. Right, whenever you use the little, you're referring to something more specific. The little I know about Sagar is that makes me realize, that he's somebody who does a lot of research. Just to give you an example, which means I'm specifically talking about a particular situation or a particular person or a specific activity. The little I know about so and so, or the little I understand of what you're saying, right? You're being very specific. And we just saw the difference between a little and little. So depending on the context and what you're trying to communicate, you will use these three accordingly. In fact, this is one of the questions that was raised earlier in a doubt clarification session, and I've addressed this earlier as well. Anyway, let's go back. I welcome all the delegates on behalf of ABC Corporation. On behalf of is the underlined phrase, on the account of, on the parts of, for, no improvement. Have it been a, Anjali, I'm not following. Okay, good, Revati. Sorry, Anjali, I didn't quite understand your question. A little of what? Where did it go? No, you will still not need, says is present tense, right? You will still need the past tense, said. Kapil, okay, how will you make yourself strong in basics? Go through the basic videos, basic reference for English. Take the tests. See, it works differently for different people, right? I mean, for me, what will work is with the time frame that we have 2 months, 3 months, we're joining the course to prepare for an exam, to clear the exam, right? And there could be other reasons why you join the course also. But assuming that this is the main reason, right? I can either start from exam specific concepts. I can start off with fill in the blanks and then decide, hey, you know what, I'm not able to understand why this option has to be in this blank. Why can't it be other options? So then I'll go back and probably look at vocabulary, because vocabulary has some basic concepts like collocations, phrasal verbs, and I understand now, okay, you know what, in this context, this is the right collocation. Now, in this context, this is the right phrasal verb, right? So either you can learn like that, or you can say, okay, you know what, I don't know anything. I'm zero in English. I'll have to get my basics clear first. Then I will start with basic reference for English, go through all those videos, and then try and relate it, right? The problem with most of us is we learn segregated, which is the wrong way to learn. You always have to connect what you're learning. So when you're learning gerund and infinitive also, try and connect it to, how can I connect it to a spot theory question type? How will I apply this, right? That's how you need to map or match it. So don't forget, don't learn the videos as a separate segment. Everything that is there is connected. Okay, so you'll have to, most of us at some point of time were zero in English. Over the years, we've developed, practiced, read, researched, right, taken tests, and then we've moved up the ladder. So that's the path you will take, Kapil. I'm sure you'll do well. As and when you have doubts, just post it in the forum and we'll discuss it there. Yeah, Pratyusha as well. So these are generic questions. I'd like to address it towards the end if that's all right with you. We'll be done in I don't know how many more questions are there. So let's complete the remaining set of questions, and I'm sure most of you, because you've joined new, I'll probably take you through how to go about. We have a today's preparation list as well. For some of you it works. For some of you it doesn't, because you have your own way to study and prepare. So I'll give you a general idea of what you need to do. just stick with me till the end. Okay, let's move on. So this one on behalf of is absolutely fine as it is. You don't have to change anything. No improvement. Yes, most of you got this right. Let's move on. Any of these two options could be the correct answer. So any of is the underlined phrase. What are the options? Either one of, any two of, either of. What do you think is the answer? You have a clue phrase obviously in the question, right? What can it be? Thank you, Sagar. Sagar is like public acclaim. I would also, I just want to interrupt here and say that I don't want to take the full credit, because I feel whether it's Rohit or Gayatri or me, we are only acting as guideposts, right? A lot of, I would say about at least 80% or more is from your end, right? It's like, it's as simple as that. I can enroll in something, okay, and I can go through the motions of what's happening there. I can be present in all the live sessions. I can participate in all the mock tests. You know, I can go through all the videos. But, so we've given you some sort of a structure and a guideline, and we are here to kind of, you know, guide you here and there. But a lot of effort has to be put from your end. You need to do the part. It's like, you know, you can only take the horse to the water. You can't make it drink. So it's like that. You need to drink. So I would say, Saga, the credit goes to you because you take a lot of initiative. You research a lot of questions. You search and look for new questions posted in the forum. A lot of learning happens like that as well, right? Questioning is a brilliant way to expand your knowledge on any language. So, like I said, you guys need to do most of the part, is what I'm saying. I'm reiterating that. So don't just expect Rohit and Gayatri and me to just create a miracle for you. That will not happen. So Sagar, be honest and let everybody know the truth of the matter is you need to work hard. As simple as that. You need to do your part. Yeah. So I have, what is the clue? One is a clue. Nahi Baba. What is the clue phrase? Did somebody say? Same for Surya as well. The clue phrase is two options, na? So I can't say any of. So it definitely can't be option 2. Either this or that, right? So option 3 would be either of these two options could be the correct answer. Either one of is again being very, what do I say, redundant. When you are saying either, it itself means what? Either this or that. Either this or either that, right? Then again, why you want to say either one? So either of these two options could be the correct answer. Option 3 is the answer. Okay? Chalo. Thank you, Pavni. Let's move on. Several ministers have been expected to meet the people tomorrow. Have been expected is the underlined phrase. What are my options? Have been expectant, have been expecting, are expected. And then I have no improvement. What can be the answer? This again is to do with simple tense. I want you to look at the context. Tell me what the context is talking about. Is it talking about a future arrangement? You have a clue word in the context, and then you select the appropriate tense from the given options. Let's see who gets this right. Do we have answers? Option 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3. So why 3? Can somebody quickly tell me? Q? Why 3? Why can't it be anything else? See, Manish is saying option 2. Yeah, why can't it be option 2? Who's going to explain to me? Why have you chosen option 3? There should be a reason, no? What is the reason? It's a future event. Ah, okay. Surya is somewhere close. Also understand, I would say instead of even saying future event, right? Remember there's a difference. Usually for future arrangements you use the present continuous is used, but this is almost like a fixed event, है ना? Which is going to happen at a later time, which is when? Tomorrow, right? So remember the simple several ministers are in terms of subject to agreement. Obviously that is also playing a role, more than one minister, that's fine, right? But keep in mind, it's just not the future tense which is used for future arrangements. Sometimes you will use the simple present tense, sometimes you will use a simple present continuous tense, or even the simple past tense to explain future arrangements. So you'll have to know these subtle changes as well. Yeah, so one such example is this. Can you think of other example sentences? Just think of example sentences. You know this, you've used this. Popular noun, several ministers, okay. Yeah, anyway, several ministers are expected to meet the people tomorrow. So and so is expected to do something. When you use that construction itself, you're talking about some action that they are required or people are expecting them to take. What is this new question Sagar has put? You tell me, Sagar, what do you think? We're talking about something that is a fact, right? When it is a fact, would you say are, or would you use the perfect tense, present perfect tense, where you're talking about an action that started sometime in the past and it is continuing up till now? Are expected to arrive to this function. Always arrive, any movement, the preposition that you will use is to, Surya, not for. So Sagar, in that example sentence, I would lean more towards are, simply because that's a fact, it's given. I will use a simple present tense, but like you said, yes, people also say have been said because we don't know when the date was mentioned, right? The date could have been mentioned anytime before, sometime in the past, and it is relevant now as well because you're showing it to people and saying check the dates, right? So yes, both are accepted in terms of grammatical sense and meaningful sense. Anyway, sorry, coming back to our question. So this is agreed. We're going to move forward. Let's move to the next one. Rafiq introduced me to his friend who is both a scientist and a musician. Do you think see, when you're talking about arriving, I will arrive. When you're talking about movement, you always say, but when you are stressing on the purpose, then you will use for, right? The purpose for this person arriving is for the function. That makes sense. The reason why he's coming is for the function. There I'm using for because the importance of the stress is on the purpose of the function. Okay, but if you're talking about just the movement of or the transition of him arriving, right? There's when you're referring to movement, always stick to to. So depending on what you're stressing on, yeah, the prepositions will change. Anyway, most of you have come back and said to. See, the problem with option 2 is there's something missing. Can you identify it? Can somebody identify, if you're saying option 2, look at the option and tell me something is missing. What is that? So okay, so Anjali, you tell me, because you're saying it is not 2, right? So what is wrong with 2 then? Let's leave the people who said 2 because obviously they were not able to identify the mistake. Okay, good. So the indefinite article is again missing before musician, right? So though it sounds correct, that's the reason why it was not option 2, and the given context is correct as it is. Rafiq introduced me to his friend who is both a scientist and a musician. This is a statement. Okay, who as a relative pronoun is obviously correct, substituting the friend. So Rafiq introduced me to his friend who is both a scientist and a musician. Okay, that's why it is no improvement. We definitely know option 1 and 3 is out. Okay, all right. So this is very, very simple, but something that we overlook, right? Article errors are the only errors that most of us tend to overlook. It's an oversight. We just don't, we miss it. That's what I'm saying. And Manish, it cannot be option 3 because you don't have the indefinite article both before scientist and musician, and then you have together again, which is very, very redundant in meaning, right? It's very awkward in meaning, that together word. It just doesn't make sense in the context. Rafiq introduced me to his friend who is scientist and musician together, right? It's just not happening. It's like saying, see, you need to understand that those are two different things that he does, right? It's not like when he's doing the scientific work, he's also playing the music. No, those are two different things, but those two are characteristics of his friend, right? So you can't say together. Okay, last one. The last census, no, I don't know if it's the last one. Next question. The last census tells us that the population of Calcutta is greater than any other town in India. If you were there for the SSC session, we looked at this. Hopefully, if you were there, I want you to recollect what is this. Again, because you're specifically talking about, you know, you're addressing two components that are specific, which is, you know, scientist and the musician. You have to have some sort of a determiner, and the determiner obviously we know is the article, right? So without that, it just seems grammatically incorrect in form, Anjali. At the same time, you're saying at the same time, no. That's also sounds very awkward. So why is that so? I'm assuming most of you were there for the SSC session, so you know why is this. So Divya is confused between 3 or 4. So can somebody explain the concept to Divya? Why did you choose option 3? She is confused between 3 and 4. Kranti or Charan or Shubham or Surya, can you explain to Divya? Jay Krishna says 4. Most of you, all of you who said 3, why have you chosen 3? So why is that, Charan? Explain. That is there already in the option, na? But why you need that, then that off? Kyun? Master key, all right, Shubham. Magar kyun? Why is it master key? That's my question. Two is used in superlative degree. 2 is used in superlative degree, Manish. Greater. How can 2, you say option 2 is used in superlative degree? Greater itself means comparative degree. Greatest only means superlative, no? So Anjali says that of refers to population here. That's why. Okay, so Divya, I'm going to use Anjali's explanation and explain to you a little further. Okay? Yes, Bhavani, good. There is comparison happening in this context, obviously, right? The last census tells us that what is compared here? Answer that to me first. Divya, can you answer that to me, please? What is compared in the context? Answer this question, guys. Anybody? What is compared in the context? Bhavani said comparison. What is compared, Bhavani? Answer the question, guys. Comparing Calcutta with other what? What is compared? Yes, Paras, thank you. Population, है ना? This is what is compared. The population of Calcutta is compared to the population of other towns in India, है ना? So, in the context, right, obviously the population is taken as a singular entity. Remember, population is a collective noun. It can either take up singular or plural, whatever. Right, it depends on the author's intention. However, in the context, we are saying it's taken as a singular entity. The last census tells us that the population, we'll rely on the definite article the being specific, and we look at it as a singular entity here. So, population of Calcutta is greater than any other town in India, meaning population is not compared directly to any other town, right? The population of Calcutta is greater or is compared to the population of any other town. So, because I need something to represent this, to make it clear and not confusing, I say is greater than that of. That of meaning the population of any other town in India. Okay? That is why it is option 3. So, that of is representing population, because that's the comparison. Divya, got it? So the last census tells us that the population of Calcutta is greater than that of, meaning greater than the population of any other town in India. So these are called dangling modifiers, right? Yes. So these are called dangling modifiers. We need to break down the sentence and see, especially when there is comparison involved, we need to make sure to see if the meaning is clear and complete. That is why usually this is another very basic type of an error that you will find with respect to comparisons, right? That TOF will be missing. You'll just have to figure out what is compared in the context. Hai na? Yeah? Okay, I think that was the last question. Anyway, so those of you who hung around, stay with me. I'm going to quickly take you through the portal. The rest of you, if you have already gone through this whole procedure that I do at the end of the session, you are free to go. We've come to the end of the session. So before you go though, quickly some pointers. So for some of you, it might have just been like a refresher, just registering some more basic concepts now that you're very clear. For the rest of you, it might be something new that you've learned today. Either ways, don't just look at this session as an independent session. Please go and apply what you've learned, which means go watch some more videos. A lot of you are not very clear in your basic concepts, so you need to go back and look at the basic videos, go through that, right? Try and take as many tests as possible, and then you will see some sort of a progress at your end as well. Yeah. So thank you for being a part of the session, and happy 2018 all those who are leaving. I will see you guys in the next year. Have fun, party hard, be safe at the same time, and those who are preparing for your mains, other exams that are happening, all the very best. We will continue to have sessions around the same. Yeah. Chalo. So I'll see you guys. The rest of you, stay back, especially those who are new. Okay, chalo. Just give me a second. Okay. Yes, Kapil, wait. Okay, ma? All right. Okay, guys. So for those of you who are there with me, do you see the dashboard in front of you? Yes, no, maybe? Okay. So you have something called today's preparation, right? So depending on which exam you've enrolled yourself for, whether it's bank exam preparation or SSC exam preparation, accordingly you check. All right. And then you have, so we've mentioned it, right? This is an ideal study plan. However, based on your availability, time and your subject knowledge on various topics, you are free to access video lessons of your choice and learn the concepts. So this is a good plan. So every day there is a plan given for you. Okay. And all you have to do is be a part of that plan and follow that plan. So for example, what's happening today, right? Whatever, if there is a live session happening, that will be mentioned there. So you can be a part of it. So every day you can just go click on today's preparation, go to that day and see what's happening, right? There's 15 minutes of current affairs, there's 15 minutes of words of the day, as in you can expand your vocabulary, and then you have something called practice. Now these practice tests are valid only for 7 days. So there's 10 minutes of each subject here: quantitative aptitude, reasoning, English language, banking awareness, current affairs, speed maths. So for example, let's click on quantitative aptitude. Okay, so you can take a test, right? It'll either be a daily test or a subject test or a full length test, whatever it is. You can take a test for 10 minutes or 1 hour, whatever is available for you, just check that. Yeah, so that's another thing that you can do. So on a daily basis, there is a plan given for you in terms of you being a part of a live session, you expanding your vocabulary, or you expanding your current affairs knowledge, and you have 10 minutes of each subject, right? So this is today's preparation for you. Now, this is one way to do it. But if you're saying, no ma'am, it doesn't work for me that way, I don't want to do it like that, right? Then I'm just going to take you through English language as such. You can apply the same for other subjects as well, whether it's quantitative aptitude or reasoning. See, for example, when it comes to the English language, okay, now these are what all you see here, right? Fill in the blanks, sentences, jumbles, comprehension, vocabulary, spot theatre, descriptive paper. These are all exam specific components. Under comprehension, you'll have, close passage, passage completion, out of context. Passage completion, out of context are all new question types that were introduced in the last couple of years, right? SBI PO mains, IBPS PO mains had some new question types introduced. Likewise, in sentences also, you'll have them, fillers, connectors, all of that. Now, in terms of sequence, if you're somebody who's really weak in basics, okay, I would suggest for you to first go through English grammar for reference. Do you see it here? Just before live sessions, click on that. In fact, yeah, okay, click on that. And this is what I was talking about. Infinitive, gerund, participle. So you will have the basic parts of speech videos, each parts of speech explained clearly. You will have other components with respect to grammar that you are required to know, right? Like infinitive, participle, gerund, auxiliaries, transitive and intransitive verbs. Very, very needed for phrasal verbs to identify errors, right? So everything is explained here, and so want you to go through this. Subject verb agreement, direct indirect speech, SSC preparing guys, active passive voice. So this is your basics. So I want you to go through this, yeah, and then you can move on to other components. So vocabulary is another component. Like I said, these are very basics for fill in the blanks, close passage sort of questions. Most of you, Anand was asking, right? Collocations. This is what I want you to go through, Anand, right? And then there is something on phrasal verbs. I want you to go through this. There's something on prefixes, suffixes. So these are all helpful for exam specific questions like fill in the blanks and close passage and stuff like that. So either you go through the complete English grammar for reference and then come back to all your other exam specific components. Now, some of the things that I definitely want you to go through as a rule of thumb is something that I'm going to show you. Okay, you have something called additional solved questions. When you have the time, please go through these. These are just practice, for practice. Okay, you will have separate topics, double blanks, single blanks, jumble sentence, closed passage. And the reason why I'm saying for you to go through this is because these have a wide range of questions ranging from basic to moderate to difficulty level questions. And do you see this? Knowledge check, question answer, knowledge check part 1, part 2, part 3. This is also something that I will want you to go through because these are very, very basic. I'll just show you an example. Okay. So these are questions posted by you guys itself, but it'll give you an insight into the English language in terms of questioning, right? A lot of your own questions will be answered when you go through these questions. For example, what's the difference between rise and raise? How to use them in a proper way, right? So these are all very, very important to understand the language, to be able to spot errors quickly, to be able to arrive at answers quickly, right? Difference between to and for, prepositions, things like that. So please go through this as well. Q&A. Apart from this, there's something called reference material at the end, on top. So mandatory things that you will go through is idioms, phrases, collocations list, prepositions, meaning and usage, and grammar rules. Okay? Everything else, yes, whenever you have the time, go through it. But these three. Alright, Kapil and Anand and the rest of you. Okay, that's about it. So if you can find a structure that will work for you, do that. But for the most part, I just want you to explore what we have. We have a lot of resources and videos. You just have to make time to watch them and learn from them. It's as simple as that. Yeah, but for the most part, you can be a part of live sessions. You learn more. Like today, be a part of as many live sessions as you can. But I understand that not all of you can be a part of that. Even if you miss out, don't worry. You have something called as live sessions, right? When you come down, that's the last one. So all the live sessions are anyway archived here. So you can go and check them out as well, whenever you have time. Doubt clarification session, any exam specific sessions that are happening, it's here. IBPS PO, SBI PO, IBPS clerk, whatever is happening, you can go through these videos as well. So in case you've missed out on some session, you were not able to attend it, not to worry, it's there. You can go check it out later. Yeah. So all the very best, you guys. Happy 2018 again, and I will see you guys next year. So Vidya, hopefully everything got answered in the process. Okay? Alright guys, welcome once again to all those who've joined us. Happy to have you. And hopefully you will learn a lot and achieve your dream job. Yeah? Take care guys. Have a nice weekend. Bye.